and on the site it'll say like, you know, minus 200 or something, but then I'll call my buddies at Bet99. I'll be like, hey, can we give it a little better? And it'll be like minus 150, so there'll be more value. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to add value to the picks. We're going to get boosted odds at Bet99 for the Ringside Report universe. For all the viewers, we're going to give you picks. And then we're going to be like, you know, there's a number here on this at Bet99, but maybe wait till Saturday morning and there'll be a better number because we're going to give you those boosted odds. They're a sponsor, and I want them to do well, and they're helping the show and all of that. But at the same time, I want to give good picks and take them for everything they got, baby. But they got.
Well, that's what it comes down to.
You know what I mean?
Listen,
it's a weird relationship because I'm friendly with them, and I want to do well, and I want them to do well, but I also want us to do well, and for us to do well, we need to take money from them, which is part of the whole. It's part of the game, and they like it, and it's all fun. So we're gonna get some boosted odds, and we'll see how much we can boost them for the viewers, so we can make a lot of cash.
The discipline of jiu-jitsu, the elegance of a perfect pour. Introducing the jiu-jitsu-inspired shaker pint glass. Crafted for the martial artist in you. 16 ounces of pure elegance, perfect for post-training refreshment or a sophisticated cocktail evening. Durable, stylish, versatile. Not just a glass, but a testament to your dedication. Celebrate your passion with every sip. The Jiu-Jitsu Shaker pint glass. Cheers to mastery. Available now in our store. While you are waiting for today's broadcast, go to merch.ringsidereport.net and get yours now.
Strength in every sip.
Introducing the exclusive WWE Survivor Series 1997 t-shirt, spotlighting the event that forever changed pro wrestling, the legendary Montreal Screwjob. This isn't just a shirt, it's a badge of wrestling lore. It's a limited release. So act now. Snag your piece of history now before the final bell rings. Find it and our growing selection of merch, swag, and collectibles at our website, merch.ringsidereport.net.
Before we dive into today's action-packed broadcast, check out ringsidereport.net. Explore a wide range of exclusive articles and commentary that are specifically designed for the fans of pro wrestling and MMA. Did you miss a broadcast? No worries. We've expanded them all on our website. And don't forget to hit our store for exclusive merch and other must-have items, ringsidereport.net, where the real action is.
Yeah, we went to AEW this week. We watched SmackDown. We're here. We're ready. It's Wrestling Uncensored. Yes. Indeed. Johnny, how is it?
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm still like exhausted from this, just watching AEW the last 2 days. Like they were very long days, it felt like. Just start to finish. Do that midweek like that. Now we just watched some more wrestling, which was all right. But yeah, it felt like it's been a long week.
Yeah. And I know we had planned to start off with SmackDown. We'll talk about SmackDown, but let's get right into the AEW talk. Let's flip it. You want to flip it?
We can flip.
Since you talked about how exhausted you were. It was long, right? It was a lot of wrestling. AEW gave us a barrage of professional wrestling this week in Montreal. I know a lot of you were there, and we were there for both shows. I stuck around to the end of... I don't think I stuck around to the end of either show.
I didn't think you would. I mean, what time did you leave the Collision taping?
The Collision taping I left, I feel like it was around 11:30, and it wasn't done.
Okay. Yeah, we were about the same time, I think.
I left. Well, Collision was over, right?
Right.
So I watched all of Collision because that's what was the advertised show. But then they do Ring of Honor.
Again.
They gave us some Ring of Honor matches before Collision, right? And then they gave us Collision, and then there was a Ring of Honor, more Ring of Honor tapings after Collision.
Yep.
And it was a lot. Right?
Like, I honestly, some people told me that actually stayed for the whole thing. Like, it was close to midnight, I believe, when it ended. I believe I left right before the last match. It was the main event. I think it was a Four Corners tag, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it was. Because they were all coming out. I saw that. And we're just like, it's 11:30. Like, and we have to do this again tomorrow. So, yeah, I'm just going to go to bed.
Yeah. So...
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I appreciated it, but, you know, there was nobody there for those Ring of Honor matches. Everybody was leaving. That Ring of Honor show was empty as hell because everybody was there for Collision. Once Collision ended, people left. To begin with, the Collision taping was poorly attended. There was like 3,000 people there. It was not good. So... once people start leaving, it gets down to like there was like maybe 500 people, 300 people left in the Bell Center, which is a 21,000 seat arena for those Ring of Honor tapings. I don't know how that's going to look on TV. It was a lot. It was a barrage of wrestling. And I felt bad for the guys. It was just a very long taping of Collision. And Collision was good. I liked Collision. You know?
I enjoyed both TV shows, like both AEW shows, like television wise. Like I didn't rewatch it, but watch it, like living it, like as I saw it. Like I thought Collision was fantastic. I thought Dynamite was really good too.
Yeah. Collision, we saw Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castagnoli. Very good match. A lot of fun to see. Started
Best
off hot.
match on Collision, I thought.
I thought Bryan and Andrade was the best match. But
I mean, it's up there too, but I really thought Eddie and Claudio, like that was, to me, it was very hard hitting. I thought Eddie had the best chops of the night too. There was a lot of good chops back and forth for a lot of matches, but I thought that really delivered in terms of hard hitting that match.
Yeah.
Andrade and Bryan was very good too, but I thought there was just more intensity with Eddie and Claudio.
I mean, either way, they were both very good matches.
Right.
Can't argue with, one being better than the other. either way, I thought they were very good. Andrade and Bryan was excellent. I loved seeing Bryan. Penta, Cero Miedo, and Commander wrestled Angelo Parker and Matt Menard. It was cool to see 2.0, Daddy Magic, and Cool Hand come out there and get a huge pop. They're from here, so to see them get a big ovation from the crowd was great. You know, that was really cool. I was happy for them.
Well, both nights too. I think they came out. Not mistaken. Yeah, I think they came out the second night too.
Yeah. Kenny Omega, Ethan Page was really good.
Yeah, it was good. Like, I thought it was what you kind of expected, though, too, though. Like, Kenny was going to give him a bit of offense, but you knew Kenny was going to win in the end, though.
Yeah, and that's fine, but for me, it's just, I've never seen Kenny in person. Have you ever seen Kenny in person?
That was the first time, so that was really kind of cool.
Yeah, so it was the first time I've seen a lot of these people in person, like Eddie Kingston or Kenny Omega or whatever. But Kenny Omega, seeing him in person was really impressive because he played all the hits. You know, he did his dive, he did his suplexes, he did the one-winged angel. You know what I mean? He played all the hits, he hit all his cool moves, he took some cool bumps. He came out there and he delivered a Kenny Omega match. It wasn't the greatest Kenny Omega match you'll ever see in your life, but he came out there and he gave us like the full Kenny Omega experience, which I really liked. I liked seeing that in person, seeing him do all his moves, you know, like 20 feet away. That was cool.
And I guess we can get into it, how that match, you were able to create a bunch of controversy on X because of that match, because of what you posted on social media.
I was?
Well, you kind of talked about it, how like you posted photos about the match and like it kind of showed how bad the attendance was, and people took your photos and then took your video of the match.
Oh,
and
I thought people were taking more the picture of Bryan Danielson that I posted. I saw that was being stolen by various wrestling websites and such.
Well, because they're going with the angle that, and this might be an angle, but it's clearly an angle, that Bryan's injured, and people were running with that as like a news story. But I saw people also took your photo, how bad the attendance was as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, I can't be the only one who posted a picture of, you know, a half-empty Bell Center.
Yeah, but you can kind of tell, like, it was from you, especially the video, the way it was edited. It's like, it's clearly like, there's no way like someone right next to you took that video and just cut off the top and the bottom part of the exact same video. Like,
yeah. People were taking my video and reposting it, you're saying, without giving me any kind of credit for it. Yeah, that happens. That's the internet, unfortunately.
Well, I saw people on SmackDown got credited for their stuff because Charlotte got injured tonight, right? And people credited all that stuff that came out apparently.
Oh, really?
Just now. Oh, yeah.
So they don't credit me, but they'll credit other people. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, maybe we need to figure out who these people are that are doing this stuff and call some copyright infringement on them. How about that?
Wait. You got to find the people that repost the video and all that stuff, because like, and they take it from that one source, and then people share it from that source, right? So you got to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go after the people that share it. You have to go after the person that originally reposted it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It is what it is, right? What are you gonna do, right? What am I supposed to do?
I understand.
What would you do?
I understand you were upset.
I mean, I was like, come on, man! Like, why don't you just like credit me or retweet me or something instead of just taking the picture and putting it out and, you know, whatever.
Well, I saw people were also criticizing you too, saying that you shouldn't have posted photos like that, that you're like adding on to the hate.
Me?
Yeah, I saw that as well. Yeah.
I didn't see it. Well, I'm glad I'm glad I didn't get tagged because I didn't see any of that.
Yeah, no, I saw that as well, saying that you're part of the problem too, like, because you posted that and you allowed that hate to go on the internet. Like, though it's not your fault. Like, that's the setup. That's the way it is. That's life, you know?
You know, I wasn't trying to expose the half-empty Bell Center. I was just trying to take a picture of Kenny Omega from my seat
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not trying to expose AEW. I bought tickets for AEW, and I'm there. I like AEW. You know what I mean? I went to both shows. I'm clearly a fan. I'm not trying to put hate on AEW on the internet. I like AEW. I would buy tickets for AEW if they came back for all the shows that they would ever do here. I'm thinking about going to Quebec City or Ottawa for their upcoming Canadian tour in 2024. I'm a big AEW fan. I like pro wrestling. I would go to all the WWE shows that come here too, and I do. And I have tickets for that at the end of the month when they come to do a house show in Laval, which is probably where AEW should have run their shows because it was, not great attendance for the Bell Center. I guess the Laval building was busy, so they had to do the Bell Center or something. There was a reason why they did the Bell Center instead of Laval. It was a good reason. But there was just not a lot of promotion, and I think that AEW needs to work on their promotion for local attendance. And they have this problem everywhere they go. They need, it's not just a Montreal issue where they have poor attendance. I mean, we're seeing pictures of half-empty buildings for a lot of AEW shows these days, and I think it's a marketing problem. I think it's a promotions problem because they did very little promotion for these events. And that's why they did about 5,000, maybe 6,000 for Dynamite and half of that for Collision in a 21,000-seat building, which is really unfortunate because they were good shows. They gave us a lot of good wrestling. If you're a hardcore wrestling fan, you could stay to the end and see all sorts of good stuff. It was, 2 good nights of wrestling. I enjoyed myself both nights. I left before the shows were over, but that's because, I got to wake up in the morning and the shows were very late, and I stayed as late as I could for the for Collision, right? Collision, I stayed as late as I could, but once it got to the main event of the Ring of Honor taping, which was Brian Cage and somebody, Gravity, right? Did you get?
I guess
you didn't get there.
That too.
You missed that.
I guess I didn't get to that one. Yep.
Well, that was the main event. But listen to this. I mean, we had all this Collision, right? I mean, the night started, and you have Layla Hirsch and Rachel Ellering beating Katrina something, who's a local wrestler, I think. She's from here, maybe? Or Canadian? I don't know her.
I don't remember Rachel Ellering being there, but okay. It was a 3-way?
No, she was like in the corner.
Oh, she was in the corner. Okay, that makes more sense. Yes. Yeah, she was in the corner.
And then Wheeler Yuta beat Jason Geiger in a match. And then
that happened.
And then Taya Valkyrie with Johnny Nitro beat Rachel Ellering with Maria and Layla Hirsch. Maria was all over this Ring of Honor stuff. She manages like half the roster.
Yeah. That's her thing.
So all those matches, they had 3 matches for Ring of Honor before Collision, and then they have Collision. They give you Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castagnoli. They give you Kenny Omega, Ethan Page. They give you Wardlow and Willie Mack, which I missed because I went to get a Coke. They give you Willow Nightingale versus Mercedes Martinez. They give you Penta Cerro Miedo. And I'm just reading these results here just because I can remember them. I'm reading these results from the Wrestling Observer, and it says in the Willow Nightingale Mercedes Martinez match that Willow was really over, and Mercedes played the heel very well. Do you remember this match having any heat at all? Like the crowd was dead for this, no?
No, I remember Willow was over.
Her music was over when she came out, like her entrance was over, but the match itself was like,
yeah,
the crowd was not into it. Yeah,
the match not so much. They're more into the entrances, I think.
Just
and maybe that's what people remember, and that's about it. Yeah, but the match wasn't really over.
Anyways, And then you got Penta, Cero Miedo, and Commando over Angelo Parker, Matt Menard. Then you got Andrade and Bryan Danielson, and that's the main event of Collision. And then after Collision, and at this point it's like 10:30. The show's been going on
At
for
least.
like 3 hours, right? It started at 7:30. It's 10:30 now. And you go, okay, there's more wrestling now. And also, between the Ring of Honor and Collision tapings, it takes forever to get started. And the Collision taping was really disjointed. It's not a live show, so they're not on the clock, and they are slow. Right. There's a lot of downtime between matches. At one point, Dasha's in the ring just talking to the crowd about their signs and their T-shirts, and she could talk to basically everybody in the crowd because there's only about 2,000 people there at that point. It was just really oddly paced, right? Like, it was weird. The production of it was not good. Not good.
I like the Schiavone joke, though, that they had. That was pretty good. The guy that was dressed up like Tony Schiavone's son.
Yes, and asking him if he's his dad or whatever. Like, that was okay because the crowd is good in Montreal, but, like, overall, the presentation from AEW, like, Tony Khan came out 4 or 5 times during the show just because they had nothing going on, and he's like, hey, guys, thanks for coming out. I'm so happy. You guys are doing great. You enjoying yourselves. Tony Khan just kept coming out. It was crazy. At a certain point, I go to my brother, like, how many times is this guy going to come out? He just kept coming out. It was bizarre. You imagine Vince McMahon coming out 4 or 5 times in the show just because they're not ready? It would never happen. It's like it was really strange. The whole presentation of AEW was very strange. Tony Khan coming out as often as he did, just wandering out too. He's got no theme music. He just kind of wanders out. It's like, who's that guy? Oh, it's Tony Khan. Right. Hey, guys. How's everybody doing? What?
Yeah, no. That happens. It happened both nights, too.
It was so... Wasn't it weird, though? I was like, what is this? What is happening right now? Why does he keep coming out here?
I think Tony likes to interact with the crowd. So that's why he likes to come out like that. And, like, yeah, Vince would never do that.
Never.
But I think that's the thing, is to be different. You know, not to always do what was always the standard thing. Like, that's how, like, WCW was able to break away and beat, like, WWE in the ratings for a bit. Was because they were able to be different, something unique that WWE wasn't at the time. So I think this is Tony's way of trying to get, like, more interaction with the fans, that they'll like him more.
Did it work?
They had that pay-per-view thing. Remember that happened?
Yes. So he's like, oh, we're definitely going to come back. And I'm like, really?
Well, not according to your tour dates, but okay.
Well, maybe one day they'll come back. But just, I was surprised when he said they'll come back based on the terrible attendance. You know?
Dynamite was a much better crowd, though. You got to give them that.
Dynamite was much better. Hotter crowd, more people. It felt like double the people. But still only about 6,000, right?
I mean, bad for, you know, wrestling in Montreal. You expect better, but I mean, if you look at Collision, it was just like, wow, this is a huge, like, step up. You felt there's more energy in the building, without question.
So the crowd chanted pay-per-view at Tony Khan at one point. He's like, we're definitely going to come back. And the crowd's like, pay-per-view, pay-per-view. And he's like, oh, noted, you know, duly noted. Which, honestly, they would probably sell out the Bell Center for a pay-per-view.
Now? I don't think so. Like,
I think they would.
Huge problem.
I think they would. I think they would do well for a pay-per-view. This, you know, because they promote their pay-per-views. They promote their ticket sales well in advance. Look how much they're promoting that show at Wembley. That's not till, like, next summer. They promote all their pay-per-views well in advance. World's End, we've heard about World's End. They promote those things. So tickets sell for the pay-per-views. It's the TV tapings they don't promote. They need to get on that promotion of the TV tapings because they could have sold way more tickets for this this show, both shows, if they would have promoted it on their TV. You got to have a ticker at the bottom of your screen telling people where and when AEW is coming to your town.
There's a bunch of
that.
things, but there's more than that though. Like you having 2 shows back to back, and there's no like deal with that. There's no like package with that whatsoever. Like there should have been something like that, without question.
Yeah.
Also, like this was a huge thing I thought was a huge miss for them, was you didn't have anything like on the Jumbotron up top at the Bell Center for Collision. They fixed it on Rampage. I mean, for Dynamite and Rampage had it, but Collision didn't have it at all. So for some of the matches, like I couldn't see what was going on, and they wouldn't show replay. They wouldn't show anything on the screen. So that was kind of frustrating watching that. I wasn't too pleased about that whatsoever, because they fight a lot on the outside, of course, in AEW.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was fun, though, the fighting on the outside. But then, so after Collision happens, it's like 10:30. We've been watching 3 hours of wrestling. Then they start rolling out the matches for Ring of Honor. And it's Angelico beating Christopher Daniels. And then Angelico and Serpentico attack Daniels after the match, and then Orange Cassidy and Danhausen come out and they make the save. So you see Orange and Danhausen, and that's kind of cool. And you're like, all right, And then
Orange
Dalton
got hurt.
Who got hurt? Orange?
They did an angle that led into Rampage that we just saw.
Yeah, where Orange had a match, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm seeing questions flying around. Jimmy James, what of the Lana interview? Yeah, we're still working on that, to be honest. I don't know. We'll see.
She was at Collision.
Yeah.
She did make an appearance for like 20 seconds, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe less.
And she came out with Andrade, and then she went back. Like, she didn't even stay for the match. It was really weird.
Well, all the, like, seconds aren't allowed at ringside for the Continental Classic matches. The same thing happened with LFI.
Right. Okay, you're right. You're right about that. That there is a reason. But man, so she came all the way here in the snow for that?
Do that. Yep.
Cool.
Good money.
So weird. Harold Schneider says going to Quebec City should be worse. Are they on French TV? No.
No.
They are not. That's a good point. Shout out to Matthew Henley, who went to the shows. He says the audio in the arena was terrible and the ring mics were too loud. The ring was very loud, right?
I like that, though. I didn't mind that the ring being loud. It felt like every bump was like really impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was loud, but yeah, I didn't mind it. Angelo says, hello, Dave. Hello, Angelo. Hello, Patrick. Patrick Deno, Ryan Katz, Alex Terrace, Anthony Plesia. Wishes there were more people at the show. Yes. Yes. Definitely. Okay. And then we had so many more matches, John. Like it wasn't over, right? It kept going.
Sadly, yeah.
They went to
this hurt.
They went to Dalton Castle and the Boys beating the Iron Savages and JT Davidson, and I was like, who are these guys? And then they had Athena wrestle Roxanne, and then Billy Starks attacked Athena after the match, and Athena was like busted open pretty bad after that, which was kind of crazy. But you couldn't really tell.
I didn't catch that.
You couldn't tell until she walked away. Were you there at that point, or did you leave?
No, I was still there. I saw that,
right.
But again, a lot of stuff happened on the outside with that, so I couldn't really see what was going
on. Griff Garrison and Cole Carter wrestled Bobby Sharp and Sean Moore.
They came out with Maria too.
They just they started rolling these jobbers out for these matches. These local people, I don't know who they were, but they were the jobbers in the match clearly, and they had no entrance. They just kind of walked on the side of the stage to the ring with the referees, just like, here, come, do your match. It was weird, you know?
Well,
not a lot of production.
More weird, to me, this is the worst part, is that we've already seen Collision. So we've seen Eddie Kingston, Claudio. We've seen Bryan Danielson, Andrade. And then you're bringing out, like, who you have for ROH, which I think, for the most part, most people have no idea who these guys are. So you have this high-quality wrestling, and then you're going to your Ring of Honor, barely anyone watches wrestling. So it's really out of order. Like, they shouldn't have Ring of Honor, maybe a couple matches, but like the majority of your Ring of Honor after your big television show, like, that's a mistake. They need to start their tapings earlier, I think. Like, that should have started at 7.
They had so many matches. 6, 7, 8. 8 matches. They did 8 matches after Collision. They did Griff Garrison and Cole Carter, Bobby Sharp, Sean Moore. They did Shane Taylor versus Channing Decker, who I think was local. People seem to know him in the crowd.
Local-ish.
I was still there for that. I don't know him. You know?
He's more, I think, Ontario, but like he's wrestling in Quebec a bit too.
And then they had The Righteous versus Australian Takeover. And it's just like, who are these people? Then Butcher and the Blade showed up to wrestle the Outrunners, the Workhorsemen, and the Infantry in a fatal 4-way tag. Right. So that was crazy because Shane Taylor wrestled Channing Decker, and then the ring announcer goes, okay, guys, we're almost done, because he could feel the vibe of the crowd, because the crowd, and I'm saying that, you know, loosely, because it wasn't a huge crowd. It was maybe 300 people at the Bell Center at this point, because it's 11 o'clock, and we're like, yeah, I mean, it's not great.
11:30, actually.
It wasn't quite 11:30 when he said, he's like, okay, guys, there's going to be a tag match, and then a 4-way tag match, and then the main event. And I go to my brother, did this motherfucker just say there's 3 more matches? 3 more matches? Are you kidding me? It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is nuts. I felt so bad for the wrestlers who had to go out there and be like, yeah, you know, like posing to this empty like building that was full an hour ago, full-ish an hour ago, you know, at least alive. And now they're just like looking at you. Like, everybody in the crowd is just looking at the wrestlers like, what are you? What is this at this point? You know, it's turned into this weird indie show. It was super strange. I've never seen a wrestling show like this. And then Butcher and Blade, Route Runners, Fatal 4-Way, and then Brian Cage and Gravity. When they start announcing Brian Cage and Gravity, like, I find out, okay, this is the main event, and then I tapped, I left, you know?
I tapped earlier. I tapped out when the Four Corners entrance was made, so you lasted longer than I did.
Yeah.
But I will say this, that like it kind of reminds me a bit how WWE had 205 Live, where you had SmackDown and then they had 205 Live, where I felt like that kind of was draining and a lot of people left when that would happen back in that era. And what they would do to help kind of keep a lot of people is like you'd have Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton as like the main event of that after 205 Live's over, just to keep people interested. So that's what they need to do, is just like have some of your top stars, like maybe do another Kenny Omega match, like as your main event of the whole show at the end, like just another dark match. That would have helped, I think.
Maybe tell people that it's going to happen too. Be like, stay with us, guys, because at the end of this show, you'll see Kenny do a thing. You know?
Right.
But they don't do that. That's what WWE does.
Well, I don't know if I still would have stayed, because it was, again, close to midnight, and I'm like, this is only night 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
oh, yeah.
This is ridiculous.
I was at home with my daughter. She's been sick this week. It's been rough. And I was holding her, and she was going to sleep. and I was looking at my phone to see, like, is this show still going on? And I saw that Daddy Magic and Angelo Parker were doing this promo, and it was, like, still going on. And I'm at home at this point.
Right.
Putting a kid to sleep. I'm like, God damn, this show's still happening? This is fucking ridiculous. I'm glad I didn't stay for all this. It's too much. It was too much. And then, but, you know, I appreciated it. I liked that they gave us that much. Like, I don't need to stay for it. If I didn't have to wake up early the next morning, I probably would have. But, you know, then the next night, I went with my son. So after Dynamite was over, he was done. Like, he's 6 years old, you know? Like, during Dynamite, during the Edge and Christian match, he's, like, lying his head on me, like, I'm tired. We got to go home. I'm like, all right, after this Dynamite, we're going home. So then I wanted to see what was on Rampage. We stayed. We watched Orange Cassidy's match, and then we left. But I didn't know that Bryan Danielson was going to be in the main event of Rampage. Nobody told me. They didn't announce that.
They did.
When?
In like near the beginning, I think during the Shivani Control Center, they said it. Like, I saw it. Like, that's the only reason I stayed for Rampage, was because I saw it. They did air the graphic, so they did have that, and that was the only reason I would stay for the end of Rampage, because I was kind of like you too. Dynamite after that, I was like, especially after the night prior, where I was like, this is way too long, but yeah. I will wait for Bryan Danielson, and I'm glad I did, and we're about to rewatch it again here.
Yeah.
Or at least I am.
The match is about to happen. Yeah, I'm seeing it too. Match is about to happen on TV on Rampage. But, you know, my son was tired, and I'm a good dad, so I took him home. He enjoyed himself.
Well, I'm sure Brian would appreciate that, and he's not going to fine you because at least you're watching the match now. So
yeah, Brian better not fine me. The word this week is that Bryan Danielson is fining wrestlers for inappropriate social media activity, which I think is fantastic. He should be. And somebody should be.
He tweeted out before this match happened that he's going to fine people, fans who don't watch the match.
Yes, if you don't watch Rampage, you're fined. He was joking.
Yeah.
Because people are saying he's fining the wrestlers, which, how is that possible? They give him money? If you do something bad on Twitter, you have to pay Bryan Danielson some money? Is that how it works? Who gets the money? AEW?
It's funny how Bryan was the guy against the authority, and now he's become the authority.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny how things work out like that.
I didn't expect Bryan Danielson to wrestle on Rampage after Dynamite, because I had seen Bryan Danielson on Tuesday night on Collision do an injury angle with Andrade, where he was injured after the match, and it looked like he wouldn't be competing anytime soon. And I was like, well, surely he will not wrestle again the next night. That wouldn't make any kind of sense. But of course, because Rampage airs on TV before Collision, they have Bryan wrestling here. But seeing him wrestle on Collision and doing that injury angle, you know what I mean? It's kind of weird to see him wrestle the next night. If you go into both shows, it kind of kills the story. Because if they go like, Bryan's hurt because of the Andrade match next week on Dynamite, you go, yeah, but he's not, because he wrestled Daniel Garcia the next night and he was totally fine.
But they had to do it because I had complained because, like, I saw the scoreboard and it said that Bryan had 6 points. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Bryan never got 6 points. Because it was kind of a spoiler in a sense.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I didn't notice that.
So they had to do it because they already had the idea put in there. So he had to wrestle twice. Which I didn't mind. Like, I'm glad I got to see him wrestle twice. Like,
does he have 6
again,
points?
That was probably the last time. Yeah, because he won against Eddie, right? And now he's going to win tonight.
Oh, he won against Eddie. When did he win against Eddie? When was that match?
That was last Saturday.
Right.
Now, that's the whole thing. Eddie's behind the 8 ball kind of thing. He finally won against Claudio.
Yeah.
But he's still, like, behind, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brody King is still in the lead with 6, undefeated still so far.
Andrade has 6 too.
Andrade hasn't lost 2, right? So yeah.
Andrade has not lost. He beat Bryan. He beat Daniel Garcia. Sorry, that's a spoiler. If you haven't seen Collision, we shouldn't say that actually.
Well, I mean, we're talking about Collision that we saw, right? So
yeah,
I guess we could have said that ahead of time, but yeah, we saw Collision that's already happened.
yeah,
And we've been talking about it.
yeah. But yeah, Andrade has 6 points too, and we didn't see Brody King. Brody King wasn't in Montreal.
No,
right?
he's the only one too. That was weird. All the other ones competed, but he did not.
Yeah, everybody else in the blue league competed. Everybody in the gold league competed as well. Right?
Yeah.
We saw John Moxley versus Roosh, which I thought was excellent. I really enjoyed that match on Dynamite. A lot of fun. Moxley,
just the outside stuff I thought was a little
liked
much,
it.
But
he was right there. He's right in front of you, John. You didn't like it? You're like why?
I don't mind.
Why aren't they counting them out? And then later in the match they were going for a count out? Is that what you're mad about? Because when that was happening, I wanted to go over to you and say, hey, John, do you see that? It's ridiculous.
I saw that, and I thought it was kind of ridiculous. So
Yeah.
I'm like, and it kind of threw me out a little bit, where it's like, this is a little too much. Like, it's fine if it would have made sense, but it didn't make any sense whatsoever. And again, you're playing in this, the rules matter. And it seemed like the rules didn't matter in that match, so that was kind of too bad. Besides that part, I liked it. I thought it was some good hard-hitting action, and I thought Roosh looked really good in the match, but he didn't win. Too bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was my favorite match, though. I think Edge and Christian was probably my favorite. I mean, it wasn't the greatest match, but it had the atmosphere, it had the energy, and albeit, maybe the ending was kind of predictable, it was still like a cool moment to witness, to see that kind of match.
Yeah. I thought Edge and Christian was fantastic. Crowd went crazy for them. It was great. I love seeing those guys. I love seeing Edge. We've seen him in so many classic matches at the Bell Center. It was great seeing him again. He thanked the crowd after the match. And then, of course, it was Nick Wayne's mom who cost Edge the match there, interfering on Christian's behalf, which you kind of expected. It made a lot of sense because Edge just concertoed her son, right? Christian may be poisoning his mind, but Edge tried to murder him on television, so she's more mad at Edge, and I guess she's siding with Christian, and that story will continue to develop on TV. And I don't think we've seen the last of Edge versus Christian in AEW. I think they'll probably wrestle again at some point, maybe even at World's End in some sort of no rules match, cage match, something.
Maybe. I'd give it time, but it's not impossible. I mean, it would help sell the pay-per-view, which I think what helps with them for World's End is that the main event is the hometown guy, where here we didn't really have that. We had 2 Canadians, which is fantastic, but I feel like if you don't have a hometown person, you really need to overload with Canadians. The fact that Kenny was kind of like a last-minute add to Collision, there was no Chris Jericho. Again, it felt like they didn't do enough when they could have done more.
Yeah, the lack of Jericho was surprising. No Jericho in Canada? What gives? And also, was MJF there? Was he even there? Because there was a backstage thing, but I don't know if it was backstage at the Bell Center. Maybe they shot it somewhere else. I don't think MJF even made the trip. And that's disappointing. Like, even if he did make the trip, whatever, he didn't show up. We didn't see him. They did a backstage thing where he got attacked, and they had advertised MJF and Samoa Joe in a tag team match. I was expecting to see MJF in person. It's Hanukkah right now. I want to see MJF. I was disappointed that I didn't get to see him when they had advertised MJF, right? They did say MJF and Samoa Joe against the 2 masked goons was going to happen on Dynamite. And then they did the whole angle with Joe in the ring and the goons showing up and then disappearing, which in person is far less impressive than it is on TV, because you can see them and then you just see them running away and it just looks silly. You know, it looks stupid in person. But I was disappointed we didn't actually get to see MJF. And all we got to see from Samoa Joe was him walk out to the ring and kind of get, lights turned out and then run away. That was kind of a bummer. And no Young Bucks at all, which, you go see AEW, you kind of want to see the Bucks too. Whatever.
Well,
we got nothing going on now.
2 nights and you can't bring out your whole roster. No Sting. There's more they could have done for
no
Montreal.
Ric Flair.
And they didn't. Yeah, Ric Flair definitely would have been more of a draw, without question.
Hell yeah.
I don't know if he wanted to go to Montreal, but that would have definitely added to ticket sales, I think. And
Flair likes to party, man. Montreal's a good party town. He can,
Well, I wonder if he likes going to cold places, maybe not so much. So maybe that played a factor in it, possibly. But again, they could have done more, and they didn't. So that was a huge problem, I think.
No FTR?
But look at,
yeah.
No FTR. Oh, that was a huge miss, sadly.
Right.
But you see what they're doing for Ring of Honor for Final Battle now.
Yeah, what is it? FTR and Jay Briscoe versus Claudio, Bryan, and...
Whoa.
No, is that not it?
Mark Briscoe.
Oh, sorry, Mark Briscoe. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, FTR and Mark Briscoe versus Claudio, Bryan, and...
Moxley.
It's Moxley, right? Not Wheeler? It's Moxley.
No, Moxley, yeah.
It's a good match. Final battle is, I want to say...
next Friday.
Soon, right? Yeah, next Friday, right? Okay. Cool.
You'll be a little busy, but...
Yeah, I won't be there. I won't be watching. I'll be at a jiu-jitsu. I'm going to be at a jiu-jitsu event next Friday. There's going to be no Wrestling Uncensored show next Friday, because I will be attending a live jiu-jitsu event, the Montreal Quintet, which looks crazy. 5-on-5 team jiu-jitsu. Not 5-on-5 at the same time, but,
Still.
Like elimination style. Like Survivor Series, but real.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. It's going to be very cool. So, yeah, we're going to that next Friday. The whole Ringside Report MMA crew going there. But, yeah, I thought Dynamite was a good show. Swerve and Mark Briscoe was a lot of fun. That match was good. My son really loved that.
Love the entrance.
I posted a video of my son dancing to the Swerve thing. He loves that music. He loves the dance. The Prince Nana dance. And Swerve retweeted it, which my son enjoyed. He thought that was fun.
That's nice.
Swerve had seen him dance, If Swerve's retweeting it, Swerve has seen it. I'm like, yeah, look. Swerve saw you do the thing. He's like, oh, nice, So that was cool. Thank you, Swerve, for that. He was quite happy about that. But that was mostly my experience at Dynamite, just kind of going with my son and hanging out with him and having fun at a wrestling show. So it was fun. I enjoyed it. John Moxley, was good. He didn't bleed, so that was good for a 6-year-old boy. No blood, not a lot of swearing from the wrestlers. The crowd a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
The F you Christian, I heard that.
Yeah, I thought that was a little rude. Didn't appreciate that. I was looking around. I didn't see a lot of peeps. I was like, no peeps. Sad. Where are the peeps, John? Whatever happened to the peeps? That's our captain.
Yeah, but Edge was really liked here, I thought.
Yeah.
I thought a lot of people behind Edge. The song is fantastic, of course. It's always great to hear that song.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably the best entrance theme in wrestling, so.
Pyro was good.
I'm not surprised. Pyro, maybe too smoky at times. I noticed that.
A little bit, yep.
I felt like Edge and Christian got way too much smoke, I thought. Or maybe even the girls match, too, I thought. Maybe too much smoke.
The fire
That was nice
cool.
to see Tony Storm. I felt the fire, and I'm like, I'm not that close. I'm like, wow, I hate to be close.
Yeah, you could feel it. You could feel it, which is always fun. You know, you get a little fireworks show at the same time as a wrestling show. It was good to see Tony Storm and Sky Blue. That match was all right. Yeah, Tony Storm prancing around doing her thing was kind of funny. When she's doing her entrance, you know, there's a lot of this going on. There's a lot of just like, yeah, I don't know. It's good. It's good. It's working for her. She's the champion in AEW. Moxley and Roosh, again, like I said, really good. Swerve and Mark Briscoe, really good. Edge versus Christian, really good. Jay Lethal and Jay White was good, although the crowd was just giving it to them because their names were Jay, chanting double J, let's go Jay, let's go Jay, let's go Jay, you know? Just,
Wasn't there a Let's Go Jay, Jay Sucks chant? I thought there was that too.
Yeah, maybe. Let's go Jay, Jay Sucks. There was OJ, 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 OJ. There was that going on for a while. There was a lot. There was a lot of the crowd having fun with the fact that both of their names were Jay. I think they should have played up to it. You know, they should have done something like.
I thought Jay White was a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but pick up the mic during the match. You know, say something, address it, because it's just gonna be nonstop. And I feel like the crowd lost focus of the match, and they were just chanting and going crazy.
Well, that was the difference with the main event, where they were chanting, but they were still focused on the match.
Yeah.
That's why, again, atmosphere with that. And I thought, I don't know about you, I thought Dasha was better than Justin Roberts. She was much more entertaining. It seemed like she cared, where Justin Roberts was like, yeah, let's just get through this. What do you guys think? And then everyone boos the referees all the time for whatever reason, which is fantastic.
Except Aubrey. Aubrey was over with the crowd.
Except Aubrey. Aubrey was over, yeah.
Yeah, and she's played up to
Rick
it.
Knox, not
dancing
so much.
around. People hate Rick Knox for some reason. I didn't get that. Rick Knox, oh, boo. He got a lot of heat for some reason.
Yeah, he got a lot of heat, yeah.
It's strange. It was weird what the crowd was doing sometimes. So I was like, what's going on, guys? Why this?
Well, I felt Dasha, she just has more of like an upbeat kind of spirit. Like she seems like she's really into it, like, and likes talking to people, where Justin Roberts was just like, I just want to get through this. So I think that kind of didn't help the referees out too much.
Yeah, Dasha was good. Dasha is good. Yeah. I liked it. I'd go see AEW again.
Well, I know you were always a Charlie fan, but I thought Dasha was always better.
Charlie. Yeah, I'm not a Charlie fan these days, by God.
Not anymore. Okay.
No. Nope. I'm not a fan of what she's up to. Yeah. So, AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision. First time seeing AEW. You know, I thought it had its good points. It had its bad points. The production was a little weird, especially for Collision. The promotion is not very good for those shows. Overall, just getting the word out, not great. Tony Khan did come out and say, you know, hey, Rampage and Collision are going to be on TV this week. Isn't it great when Rampage and Collision are on TV? And don't you guys want to see Rampage and Collision on TV? And people are like, yeah. Because he knows, it's very hard to sell tickets for a show that's not televised. Collision is not televised. It's only on the TSN Plus app. And I think that, you know, judging by what Tony Khan said, just the way he said it, feels like AEW would prefer it was on TV, because they could tell. Dynamite's on TV. Look at the attendance. Collision's not on TV. Look at the attendance. Half. It's not a surprise.
Yeah, it's too bad. Because, again, Collision was a good show, and arguably, overall, I think it may have been a better show than Dynamite in terms of wrestling action. But, it's not hyped enough. That's the problem. It was the problem, like, back when it started. It was the best wrestling show I had seen, but because it was on TSM Plus, you weren't even watching it.
Yep. I mean, AEW delivers a lot of very good wrestling. They had some really good matches this week. Like, I saw some great matches there. I saw Bryan Danielson and Andrade, which was great. A lot of people got to see Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia, which is great. I just, got to see some of the match there. Just ended on Rampage, and it was a solid match. Of course, Bryan Danielson is the best. So, Kenny Omega, Ethan Page was a solid match. Claudio Castagnoli, Eddie Kingston was really good. Jon Moxley and Rush was really good. Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage was really good. Like, they brought some solid matches to the city. So, it's got positive reviews from me. I just wish some of the things around the show were a little bit better, like the production of it, the pacing, the promotion. It would have been nice to have
Honor.
Yeah, Ring of Honor maybe doesn't need to exist, which I've been saying since they bought it, but nobody listens to me, right? Like, what's the point of Ring of Honor?
The setup, too, like, the way they have it done, like, if they don't want people to, like, have that setup where the hard cam is empty, maybe have the seats open for hard cam, because they don't have them open whatsoever. You can't buy those seats. So maybe have the setup different, where you can buy those seats, so it won't look so bad.
Yeah, but if you open up those seats, then you don't fill up the other seats, and then the building's like weirdly, you want the people together, so you can shoot the chunk of people, not like kind of, 10 people here, 10 people there type of thing.
Well, smaller arenas too, do that, and then I think you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Again, in Laval, I don't think there would have been a problem.
Yeah. Super chat. I think one show would have been enough. One TV.
One show probably closer to a sellout. Yeah, I could see that. But, they had to try. They tried. And we got to experience, like, what a great year for Montreal. We start off with the Elimination Chamber, and we end with this. And we're not even done. Like, we still got another Laval show.
That's right. You going? You're going to that?
Yeah, I'm going to that.
Yeah, I'm going to that too. Angela wanted to know if we were going. We are going. Harold Schneider dropping a super chat. Thank you, Harold, for the support. Harold says, "Oh,
you don't want to read that. That's fine. Everyone saw it on the screen, so it's fine."
Oh, we saw it on the screen? Okay.
We saw it on the screen. Yeah, you don't have to read it.
Worse than Ring of Honor? I would say it probably is worse than Ring of Honor. I mean, Ring of Honor is wrestling, and that's, not. So I would agree with that.
Ring of Honor
like
had
wrestling
a bad
more.
spot on the show. That's the problem. If they did Ring of Honor early, most of it anyways,
yeah,
I don't think it would have been as bad. But the fact that you have, A quality wrestling, and then I would say maybe C, D quality wrestling afterwards, and it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, that doesn't really work out too well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not trying to. I see Harold and Angelo are saying that. I don't want to get into it, but Harold is. Yeah. Cool. I don't want to say things, John. I want to be nice. I want to be a nice guy. Right? Good guy.
Well, you can always crap on the Blue Jays. I know you love doing that, so if you want to crap on them, go ahead.
I just think I'm just joking about Ohtani going to the Blue Jays. I'm like, because I don't like the Blue Jays. Obviously, they suck. They're garbage. And Ohtani going to the Blue Jays, I think, is going to be a big bust. And people may be excited about it, but I don't think it's going to pan out if they do get Ohtani. I don't think it's going to work out for the Blue Jays. I don't think Ohtani, signing him to whatever the contract that it seems like they're going to sign him for, just hundreds of millions of dollars for multiple years, maybe 10 years, 8 years, whatever. I think by the end of that contract, you're going to go, ugh, we're still paying this guy? That's all.
Well, we've seen it before where Toronto's had great pitchers in the past, and it doesn't always work out very well. Sometimes it does, but it doesn't mean that, oh, wow, they're going to be number one now in their division. It's a tough division. It's I would say it's the hardest division in all baseball.
Yeah, and they don't have a shot now because the Yankees are just getting better and better. I mean, come on.
Well, again, we'll see the pitching, but wait and see.
Yeah. See, the Yankees are going after Yamamoto, and they're not going after Ohtani. And that should tell you everything you need to know. They're not going after Ohtani. Why? Because he's not worth the money.
Well,
he's not worth it.
And they probably have to give up too much, too, I think, as well. And they probably don't want to give up that much.
I don't think he's worth it.
Well, there you go.
I don't want the Yankees to go after Ohtani. Yankees fans don't seem to want Ohtani, and neither do I. I'm not impressed. I think if he goes to the Blue Jays, it's going to be it'll be good for them for the business, because he's a big star. But I think in 4 or 5 years they might go, oh, how many more years of this contract do we have? Because pitching wise, I don't know. He's starting to get a little injured. It's hard to do what he's doing. It's a lot of strain on the body to pitch and play in the outfield. It's a lot. I don't know if you can do that long term. I think at some point he's going to have to stop pitching. And it may be when he goes to Toronto, I don't think he'll do pitching and fielding his whole career. It's crazy. Nobody does that, And it's tough. It's not easy on the body. 162 games is a marathon. At a certain point, it might catch up to him. That's all I'm saying. I wish him the best. But I don't wish
but okay.
I don't wish him. I mean, I wish him the best. I hope he has a nice career and he makes tons of money. But I wish the Blue Jays the worst. Well, not the worst, but just not as good as the Yankees. They could be in second place. I don't care. Third place. What do I care? They don't have to be in fifth, They could be better than the Red Sox. I don't care. As long as they're nowhere near the Yankees, that's all I care about. Yankees picking up Juan Soto this week, John. Feeling good about that. We're feeling good. So, we'll see what's next. I'm so excited for the baseball season, and it's goddamn December. It's ridiculous.
A long wait.
I know.
It's a long, long wait.
I know. I love it. Man, I love it. Okay. So AEW was fun. We liked AEW. We will go to AEW again. Do you think Bryan Danielson is really handing out fines?
I think he's got more of a bigger role in AEW than just being a wrestler, yeah. I believe it.
Yeah.
If he's on the disciplinary committee, it makes sense. He's doing more than just as a wrestler. He probably has 2 contracts.
How do you think that works? Do you think Brian's on his phone just following all the AEW wrestlers on Twitter and making sure they're not posting anything weird? You think he just follows people on Twitter and he does it himself, or people are sending him stuff? Like somebody who works for AEW, they have to compile a list of questionable things, and Brian then has to review it and hand out a fine? How does this really happen? But honestly, judging... after seeing AEW in person and seeing how, when they were starting Collision, they were really slow to start Collision. Dasha was in the ring trying to figure out, what was going on, just killing time. And you could hear people in the back, because there were so few people in the Bell Center, and it was quiet because we're just waiting. You could hear people in the back at AEW yelling. Trying to get somebody, hey, it's your match, I couldn't hear what they were saying, but you could hear, loud yells of, it didn't seem angry, but who knows, right?
I didn't hear it, but you were closer, I think, to the backstage than I was, so.
I could hear people in the backstage yelling to, prepare the show. So judging on that, based off what I've seen from AEW and how they operate in person, I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it works. If Bryan just has to check Twitter once in a while and be like, that doesn't seem good. That's $5,000. Like, it seems it's not the WWE. Like, I've seen the WWE operate over and over again for years and years, and it is a top-rate operation, and you never see some of the things that you see at these AEW shows. Never.
Well, you're also not seeing the wrestlers help run the show kind of thing, or help run the talent, so they kind of keep that separate, which I think seems to be working for them.
Yeah.
And AEW wants to do things different, that's fine, but not everything's going to run so smoothly. But they seem to be happy with how things are going. I mean, Bryan's been doing this, since like the spring, summertime? Like, I don't think this is going to change anytime soon. Just, it's more known now. And,
Like,
he could make an angle into this, too.
I enjoyed the shows, right? Like, I liked it. But don't you get a feeling after seeing AEW and being in the building and seeing the attendance that, like, it's not far away from being TNA wrestling? Like, being there and seeing it, you kind of go, oh, this is not, it doesn't feel anywhere close to WWE. It felt like a overblown indie show.
More so Collision than Dynamite, yeah. I would agree with that. But
Collision really felt,
yeah.
Dynamite felt a little bit more like, a little bit more WWE-ish, but not quite there.
Well, it helped you had more of a WWE kind of match with Edge versus Christian, so that kind of helped a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
It had more of that kind of feel for it. But I find, like, in terms of, like, you say, like, they're closer to TNA, like, have you watched TNA lately? Like, they're definitely a step above that. There's no question about that. And even, like, the TNA house show that we saw, like, way back years ago, like, this was definitely much better than that.
Yeah.
Both shows.
Yeah. But it felt, it was strange, right? Like, it was a bit of a strange experience. It was like, Collision was not what I expected it to be. It was a little less professional than I expected it to be. Dynamite was a good, solid show, but Collision was just like, what is going on here? What's taking so long?
Well, I think it goes to show, too, when they're not live, that it's kind of more hectic, I guess, and they're just more fancy-free with how they do it. That's what it kind of felt that way watching it. And we didn't get the whole backstage segments. They're probably going to film them. Maybe they're filming them now or something, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it didn't really feel so much like a TV show. It just felt like we got a bunch of matches just lopped in one after another. But again, quality of wrestling and Collision, like, was really good. You missed out on a really good match, Wardlow against Willie Mack. That was very good.
Yeah.
Excellent match.
It's just, I've seen, SmackDown tapings where they tape SmackDown to air, like, on Friday or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they used to tape SmackDown, it wasn't live. And it's...
Tuesdays, yes.
Yeah, on Tuesdays, right?
Yeah.
And I've been to one of those, and this was not that. Like, the Collision taping was like the SmackDown taping, it feels like you're at a TV show. Like, it's tight, and it keeps going, and there's always something happening.
For TV, yeah.
Yeah, but this was like it was disjointed.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. They got to work on that a little bit for the live show. Because I'm taking a look at the Canadian tour, right, that they announced for 2024. They're going to Ottawa March 16th for Collision. They're going to Toronto March 20th for Dynamite and Rampage. They're going to Quebec City March 27th for Dynamite and Rampage. Now, I'm looking at that going, Ottawa and Quebec City are roughly the same distance. Johnny says Quebec City's much further, but I don't think it's that much further than Ottawa.
I mean, not that much further, but I mean, Ottawa's closer for us.
Okay.
Without question.
But roughly the same distance. And I would rather go to a Dynamite in Quebec City than a Collision in Ottawa. Because after seeing Collision and seeing Dynamite, clearly Dynamite is the A show, and there's more effort put into the live Dynamite. Although, hold on. This might be a live Collision, though, right? March 16th? So maybe that'll be different.
Saturday.
It is a Saturday. So it'll be a live Collision, at least in Ottawa.
I mean, it depends who they have, and that's a big thing that they need to do more ahead of time. Is like, we have it confirmed, we get this talent that's going to be on.
Yeah,
like they didn't do that for this, until the week of.
I have known that I was going to see Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes at this show December 28th. I've known for months. They've advertised those two guys and other guys for months. Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, but not against each other, though.
No. But just like these people will be there. You will see Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and the Judgment Day.
Sammy.
And you're like, okay, and Sami Zayn. And you're like, okay, these people will be there. We don't know what matches, whatever, but we know, 3 months in advance, if we buy tickets, we'll see these wrestlers. I want to know 3 months in advance, if I buy tickets for the show in Ottawa, that I'm going to see Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and MJF. Just give me a few names. It doesn't have to be those names. Just give me some names of some of your stars that you guarantee pencil in to be there on those nights, so I can buy tickets, so I can make travel arrangements with confidence that I will get what I want when I go see your wrestling show. Quebec is 3.5 hour drive. Ottawa's 2 hours. I didn't realize Quebec was that far away, but yeah. All right. Well, Ottawa it is. I hope Bryan Danielson's at Collision. We'll see. But just give me some sort of guarantee. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me some wrestlers that will be there. Also, you're watching SmackDown tonight, and they're like, Montreal, we're coming to your town. You see the commercial there when you're watching the show. If you're watching on the Canadian channel. If you're watching it on Fox, you don't see those commercials. But, for the local market, for all of Canada on Canadian TV, they run commercials to tell you when the WWE is coming to Canada months and months in advance on every show, multiple times a show. Almost every commercial break, you see that WWE News Slam where somebody's telling you when the WWE is coming to town and who will be there. And now they're starting to tell you what matches you're going to see. 3 weeks out of the house show, we already know it's going to be, what did they say tonight? I saw it. It was Seth Rollins in a triple threat with Drew McIntyre and I think Shinsuke Nakamura.
No?
Yeah, Nakamura. Yeah. Triple threat for the world title, and then last man standing, Damian Priest versus Cody Rhodes. And others. No, it's not great. I'm not super hyped for it, but it's a house show. It is what it is. December 28th, Christmas house show. It's fine. But at least we know. At least they're promoting it,
Mm-hmm. And they've already sold over 6,000 tickets, too. 6,000 already. I mean, they're probably going to sell more tickets than both nights of AEW. So it really goes to show you that the WWE machine is just so powerful. It doesn't need to have the greatest show. It can still outdraw AEW at its best.
Yeah, I like AEW. They're doing a lot of things very well. Their wrestlers are great. Their wrestling is great. Their stories are solid. I mean, the look of it is good. The stage is nice. They have a lot of things going for them. The pyro was good. Everything was good. They have stars. They just, there's certain things that they're not quite doing, and it's hard to compete with the WWE. It's just clear they're not the WWE, and they're nowhere close. WWE is a different level. AEW coming back to Canada, like I said, 2024, March 16th for Collision in Ottawa, March 20th, Dynamite Rampage in Toronto, Dynamite Rampage March 27th in Quebec City. Dynamite Rampage March 30th in London, Ontario. Dynamite Rampage April 10th in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Dynamite Rampage May 8th in Edmonton, Alberta. Collision May 11th in Vancouver. And then Dynamite Rampage July 10th. They're already advertising that in Calgary. I guess that's Stampede Week, possibly.
Probably another Owen Hart final tournament thing, I think.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why they'd be announcing it so far in advance, July. It's like 7 months away. So, back to the WWE. SmackDown tonight was on fire. Just
great show.
Tremendous episode of SmackDown. So good.
Not perfect, but I mean, great moments. It doesn't really matter if the show wasn't perfect.
I mean, CM Punk was the story, right? There was a lot of CM Punk. He did a big, long promo. It was a CM Punk return to the WWE promo that we've been waiting for. It was great. He covered a lot of bases.
It goes to show you, like, give him time. You know, he can cut a really good promo. 6 minutes, there's only so much you can do.
Yep. And he talked about that, right? Right at the top of his promo. He's like, it's the 9 o'clock hour, which means it's not the end of the show, so I'm not going to get my time cut, so you guys can chant and go ahead as much as you want because we have time. I'm not getting my time cut. And he says, you know, what?
They cut the match time. That's it.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Well, he was the star, so yeah, it makes sense.
Of course he's the star. He's CM Punk. Randy Orton's really over, too. I want to talk about Randy in a second, but we're going to stay with Punk. Punk says Adam Pearce is trying to sign him to Raw, and he's considering going to SmackDown, but he's going to leave it up to the fans. And he's like, do you guys want me to be on SmackDown? They're like, yeah. He's like, do you want me to go to Raw? They're like, boo. And I'm like, why do you guys care? If Raw came to town, you'd buy tickets for that. Like, what are you talking about? Just so weird.
I thought the crowd wasn't that good, to be honest. Like, it didn't seem like they were really...
Troops. It was the troops. It was a different crowd, right? It was tribute to the troops, so they had a lot of troops in the building in...
and cadets, it looked like, too.
Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
It's a weird place to do tribute to the troops.
Not the best. Like, in terms of, like, hot crowds, this was not one of their best nights. I mean, it helps to have someone like Punk and Randy, like, to really get them going, but I feel like if you had a better crowd, Chicago, you know, New York, something like that, I think it would have been better. This just wasn't as great as it could have been.
I mean, they were pretty hot for Punk and Randy, though.
Yeah, but even for that, like, it felt like it could have been bigger. It didn't feel like it was big, and the whole booing and then cheering for things, like, it felt very lukewarm. And I don't know, were they editing stuff out? Because he started asking for names. Like, it seemed like he was searching for stuff. I wish they didn't air the Kevin Owens thing afterwards, because then it was too obvious that he was searching for names. Because he got Kevin and he saw Kevin afterwards. Like, it was more like just natural. It would have been better.
You saw Kevin after? I missed that.
Oh, you missed that. Yeah. You saw Kevin because he was looking for where Aldis's office was.
Okay.
He asked Kevin if he knew, and Kevin said no.
Oh.
And Punk's like, oh, thanks. And then Kevin just walked away.
And that was it?
That was it, yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. I guess I missed that. But Punk's promo I saw in its entirety, and he talked about winning the Rumble and main eventing WrestleMania, and that being his story, and that being his plan. And he's never won the Royal Rumble, and he's never main evented WrestleMania. He can main event night one of a 4-night buy one, get one free extravaganza, or whatever he said to MJF, right? Good for him.
Yeah, it's all coming true.
Yep. I think he's going to win the Rumble, though. I think he's got to be the favorite to win.
Has to be. Sorry, LA Knight.
It sucks for LA Knight, right? CM Punk coming in really sucks for LA Knight because it takes his spot away more than anybody else. Like, Seth still has his spot. Roman still has his spot. Cody's still going to have his spot, right? Randy still has whatever spot he's got. But LA Knight, if Punk doesn't come in, he might win the Rumble. He might face Seth for the world title at WrestleMania. But now, Punk probably wins the Rumble and faces Seth for the world title at WrestleMania. And I don't know what LA Knight winds up doing.
I mean, he'll be on the show. I mean, you can't deny how over he is. But yeah, he's going to take a step back because CM Punk is the most over guy right now in all of wrestling.
Unless you do LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, triple threat, night 2, really stack the deck against Roman, and then he wins, of course, and he stacks him, pins him, like he did to Edge and Bryan.
Well, if Cody's going to face Roman, he has to win the Elimination Chamber. So that means LA and Cody are going to tie in the Elimination Chamber.
Yes.
I mean, that's the only way it could happen, really.
The Bloodline beats them both down, and there's a non-finish. It's the opening match in the chamber, so it's not so bad. It's the first chamber.
Okay. It's an idea. See what happens. I mean, if you're doing a singles Punk versus Rollins, triple threat makes sense.
Matthew Henley saying LA Knight versus Logan Paul for the US title. That would mean that if Kevin Owens gets to Logan Paul, he would lose, which really sucks. I wouldn't want to see that happen.
I don't think Kevin wins the tournament because Kevin's got a broken hand. So that's going to show why he's not going to beat Austin Theory, I think.
He doesn't actually have
he
doesn't actually. It's a work broken hand, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that was ridiculous, too, with the whole cover thing. We talked about that last week. That was kind of stupid, but whatever. It's to help explain that this is why you're doing the tournament. He should have won the tournament. Didn't happen. But eventually, he'll face Logan Paul. And, yeah, I think WrestleMania makes the most sense for Kevin.
Yeah. Punk in his promo says his old friend Cody Rhodes welcomed him back home with open arms, which I thought was interesting. He name drops Cody for the first time, and he's like, "Oh, they're friends, and everything's good." Then he says some people are not happy with him. Punk says, asks the fans who they want him to talk about. He says he could tell us some stories about Cody Rhodes, but then he doesn't. I don't know what that was. Punk says he could talk about another guy who's never here, Roman Reigns, but says he acknowledges him and congratulates him on all his success, but that he's the original Paul Heyman guy and he was his wise man first, so he kind of takes a shot at Roman Reigns. True. Right, he was with Brock first.
Right, but whatever. I know what he was getting at.
I mean, he was with a bunch of guys in WCW first, if you really want to be technical about it, right?
But yeah, we get what he's talking about. He was with Paul.
Mm-hmm. Before he was with Roman.
Right.
He's my Paul Heyman. He's not yours. And then Punk talks about the Usos. He shouts out Jey Uso and considers staying with him and hanging out on Raw or fighting Jimmy Uso on SmackDown. And Punk says, well, if he fights Jimmy, he's got a lot of cousins, so he's going to need backup. And he wonders if he can trust Randy Orton as a partner, as backup. And then he thinks LA Knight would team with him. So he thinks LA Knight is friends with him for some reason. Or would be friends with him. Punk then mentions Kevin Owens. And he says, I'm not sure I could tag with him. I think we're maybe too alike. Maybe I can fight him instead. Kevin Owens is a little prickly, he says. And he says he's not sure he would feel comfortable working with somebody who punches people randomly backstage like Kevin Owens does. He says it's a
pipe bomb right there.
It's 2023 and you can't be doing that. Which, that was pretty good.
Oh.
Because Kevin Owens punched Austin Theory in the face backstage a few weeks ago, right?
Right.
So Punk is talking about that, but really he's talking about himself because he punches Jungle Boy and maybe Tony Khan and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, and that's why he got fired from AEW. But that line was interesting. It was a hell of a line. It was the line of the night. It was what we were waiting for from CM Punk, right? It was like, okay, he's getting into it, he's feeling it, and he's saying some things. And just talking about Kevin Owens, it was like, ooh. Like, I like that he starts talking about these WWE guys. He talked about the Usos, he talked about Roman, he talked about Cody, he talked about Kevin Owens, and then eventually he got to Seth Rollins. Talked about LA Knight, Randy Orton. It was a lot.
Yeah, he did a lot, said a lot. He got people talking. I mean, that's the CM Punk everyone wanted to see. And he delivered, without question. And to me, it's the prickly line. I'm going to guess someone said that to him or something, or that kind of stood out, and he used it to his advantage. That's the whole thing. Like, he can't say anything because of the NDAs that AEW put on him, but he can still twist it, and he's very good at doing this. He's probably one of the very best of all time doing this. And it just goes to show you, he worked his magic tonight.
It's pretty good. It was a hell of a promo. He talked about Seth Rollins. Well, he didn't say Seth. He's like, somebody's not happy to see me in WWE, and it's a guy who's not even the man in his own household. And then the fan starts singing his song, and he's like, yeah, that's all he's got is that song. And then he says he decides where he'll sign on Monday because he's choosing either Raw or SmackDown. And then he's going to finish his story in main event WrestleMania. I think he's going to go on Raw, though. Raw needs him way more than SmackDown does. SmackDown has an abundance of star power, and Raw needs something because the show is weak. You need a reason to tune into Raw every week. You've got reasons to tune into SmackDown. You've got LA Knight. You've got Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. You've got Randy Orton now. You've got other people. Raw is not that great. So CM Punk would help that show. They need it.
I'd make the excuse of, does it matter where he signs? I mean, Dominic Mysterio and Cody Rhodes were both on the show. So, I mean, does the draft even matter anymore? Like, to me, it's like, well, how about I be on both shows? That seems to be better, no? Everyone else does it, almost.
Yeah, but Randy, like he had to stick to one. Shout out Cactus. Thank you for subscribing. Randy had to, stick to SmackDown.
Because he was given something that he wanted. He wanted the bloodline. And Aldis gave that to him. Well, what does Punk want? He wants a shot in the Rumble. I mean, you just have to want a shot in the Rumble. That's it. You don't have to be on Raw or SmackDown for that.
Okay. But I think he'll probably be on Raw, right? Like, because they're saying he's going to make a decision, so they're going to do something where he makes a decision. And the fact that he's doing it on Raw leads me to believe probably Raw.
Is it like he will make his decision on Raw? Is that
that's what he said?
Now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then it's probably going to be Raw, more than likely.
Correct.
I mean, again, for the most part, he's feuding with these people, but to me, the money feud is him and Roman. And we're going to get, like, if we're not getting to it right away, we're going to get to it later. So that's more than fine. But if that happens, you really shouldn't take any losses. You got to keep him strong going into that match with Roman, I think.
I don't know how much he even wrestles going into WrestleMania.
I mean, the Rumble, obviously, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think the match with Roman happens in Mania. I think he wins the Rumble and challenges Seth.
Yeah. But he will face Roman. Like, he's talking about this. He talked about it kind of in the first promo too, right? So him and Roman, that's going to happen one day. Maybe we'll do Seth first because he's going to be on Raw. But we're going to get Punk and Roman. And I could see that when they do the draft, possibly. Like, Punk gets sent over to SmackDown and the match is on for SummerSlam.
And Punk's reasoning for choosing Seth, like when he wins the Rumble, right? His reasoning for choosing Seth would be to shut Seth up, right? Whereas,
yeah.
The reason for choosing Roman would be to have the biggest match into main event night 2, which is really the big match, right? Like if you're CM Punk story-wise, you kind of want to go after the biggest one, the biggest shark in the ocean, rather than go after Seth. But I guess, Seth talking all this about Punk, and maybe they'll find a reason. Maybe Seth will attack Punk, and Punk will really need to take on Seth, right? But it feels like Seth is going to be the guy for Punk, even though it would make sense for Punk to challenge Roman too.
It's going to be they have to do this kind of carefully, I think. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense why he wouldn't go for Roman, because he's kind of already dissed Seth, where he's like, you're not even the man in your household. So it's like, if he thinks him that low of a level and he put over Roman, why wouldn't he pick Roman? Like the true WWE champion, unlike this like third world champion.
Right.
And the guy that doesn't want to talk, you don't want to talk about, he doesn't want to talk about. And you're going to pick him instead of Roman?
Yeah.
Like the true champion? That they're going to have fun trying to explain that one.
Right. They got to have a reason. Because Punk is still kind of like, meh. Seth kind of sucks. He's just a theme song. Roman, I respect you. I acknowledge you. You would think he'd go after the big challenge. Right?
Something's got to happen.
Seth Rollins talking to the Sports Illustrated podcast about CM Punk. This is all a work, right? It's a worked shoot. I don't know if you've seen the comments. Did you see what Seth said? I'm sure you have, right?
He mentioned Colt Cabana.
Right.
So, he's trying to really make this work.
Here's the quote. I'll read it to you. Seth Rollins says, "Look, he said some really bad things about me, talked down about me for years and the company for years. I'm talking some really bad stuff. He called me a bootlicker and crap like that. You don't know me. You don't know what I stand for. I'm a loyal person, and I felt pretty insulted by a lot of the ways he treated me, treated the place I work for, treated friends that I worked with. I don't need to get into any of the stuff with Colt Cabana. If you want to look at that kind of stuff, that's out there. Just the way he treated people." So there's Seth Rollins talking about CM Punk on a podcast, not in a promo, not on WWE TV, and people getting all excited about it. But you got to understand, this is part of the work shoot style match that you're going to do against a character like CM Punk in the WWE. You're going to say some stuff outside of TV to make people think it's realer than it is. I think that there is some reality there, of course, but they're building a match. They're trying to sell a match because they're going to have a match. Right?
Yeah, pretty much. And it's great that he's adding some realism to him. It's like, we had some issues. I don't like some things that he's done, but for the most part, he's kind of even said this too. Like, he's willing to work with him. And he says that's what he does, kind of thing. He makes magic with people, even if he doesn't like them, kind of thing. And he said he'd be willing to work with Punk, so it's gonna happen. To me, it's not the big match. The big match is Punk and Roman. So I still think the way out of this is to do the cash-in, where you have Damian Priest do the cash-in WrestleMania, and then steals the world title from Seth. Kind of like retribution for Seth stealing it on Roman years ago.
So what would happen with Damian Priest?
He would walk out as the world champion. He would cash in during the match.
So
we don't actually get a...
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Like how Seth did it to Roman and Brock.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's not a bad idea. I could see them doing that. And Roman and Cody?
Well, I'll wait and see on that one. I still want Roman and The Rock. So
I think you could do Roman, Cody, LA Knight. I don't know if they need The Rock anymore.
The Rock's great. I go with The Rock.
Roman and Rock would be great, but then what do you do with Cody?
Yeah, that's a great question.
What do you do with LA Knight? What do you do with these guys? They're big stars. And if you bring in CM Punk and The Rock to take your top matches, and you have two guys like Cody Rhodes and LA Knight and some other stuff, how's that sit?
Well, maybe it doesn't sit too well, but you got to understand business too. I mean, what gets people talking? Punk and The Rock.
Cody versus Randy. That's not a bad idea there, Matthew.
That's a very good idea.
Mm-hmm. You could go there. Different shows right now, though.
Yeah, well, Cody jumps on every show, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Cody was on SmackDown tonight briefly. He had a little interaction with CM Punk backstage saying, hey, finishing your story means you have to win the Rumble. And Punk's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, that's interesting. Good luck. Good to see you, old friend. And they shook hands. But, of course, Cody wants to win the Rumble, too, so there's a little bit of friction there with Punk. Punk has friction with some of the guys. Punk was backstage with LA Knight and Randy Orton and wished them luck, and they kind of looked at him. LA Knight and Randy Orton had a little bit of friction with each other during the match, kind of tagging each other in and out with some blind tags, but they wound up beating Jimmy Uso and Solo. Of course, Jimmy taking the RKO to take the fall, not Solo. Even on the finish, LA Knight was about to hit his finish, but Randy grabbed him with the RKO out of nowhere and did it right in front of LA Knight. But they still seemed to be friends when the match was over, so that was going on there. But yeah, CM Punk definitely the story of the night. Great to see CM Punk on SmackDown, and a reason to tune into Raw because he's going to be there, right? And we'll also see Shinsuke Nakamura versus Cody Rhodes on Raw, and Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso. Not bad.
There's potential. There's potential.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a bad lineup for Raw, right? Cody versus Nakamura, Uso versus McIntyre, and a CM Punk promo where he decides if he's on Raw or SmackDown. That's not bad.
There's still another hour and a half, so it doesn't sound bad so far.
Well, they're in Cleveland, Ohio, so you'll probably get a Miz segment.
Yummy.
Yes. And we have a U.S. title tournament featuring Bobby Lashley, who won his match tonight over Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross returned after several months away, and he lost immediately to Bobby Lashley in the opening round of this U.S. title tournament.
I love that they had the guest commentator, and he's like, I remember Karrion Kross. Didn't he lose to AJ Styles? Like, just a random comment like that. Like, yep, that's what happened.
Yes, he did. Where's AJ Styles?
Well, CM Punk was on SmackDown, so, I mean, that's another match that will probably never happen.
There was talk that AJ was supposed to return to SmackDown tonight, but I think he's been hurt. I don't know where he's been, because he was hurt for a while, then he came back, and then he disappeared again.
Yeah, it was weird. It seemed like he was going to face Roman at Crown Jewel, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So,
where's Sheamus?
Sheamus is hurt too for whatever reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
I miss those guys. Those guys were, pillars of SmackDown.
Shows you the depth of WWE. Like you don't have access to those guys, but you still have a decent enough roster. It doesn't hurt you too much.
Yeah. They have a very solid roster. And we saw Bobby Lashley beating Karrion Kross tonight.
Oh, you have it right there. Wow.
There you go. How about that, John? Bobby Lashley got the win over Karrion Kross, and Santos Escobar got a win over Dragon Lee. Clean win, too, right? Did he cheat to win? Seemed like he just won.
I mean, there was a bit of a distraction, right? Because Dominic was at ringside. But
all right, Dominic.
For the most part.
He was just there, though.
Well, but he was there, and Dragon Lee looked, so.
I see.
They played that up.
So Santos won, Bobby Lashley won. They're going to face each other in the semifinals. Not sure when. The winner gets a title shot at Logan Paul, I guess at the Rumble? I don't even know. They haven't said when, right?
They didn't say when, I don't think, yeah.
Okay.
It could be Elimination Chamber, to be honest.
Really?
I mean, if they want to delay it, because they gotta have to have a reason to have Logan Paul on the show, right?
Okay. Man, that's a long time. No, Elimination Chamber is way too long. Like, how the hell?
Yeah, well, the Rumble doesn't have a lot of matches though.
We already have a
If you remember correctly,
semifinal set for this U.S. title tournament.
right? We have a semifinal. We still have to get the other bracket though for that.
The Rumble's like over a month away.
But isn't there like a week? Like, there's not going to be like a Raw. Like next week there is, but maybe the week after there's no Raw.
There's no
Or is there,
Raw
like, a
on
best of?
Christmas Day on the 25th. And I feel
Okay.
like there may be no SmackDown on the 29th.
So there's a good week of no WWE, which is fine.
Yeah, I
I
think
like a
there's a
break for
whole
us.
week, like the Christmas week between Christmas and New Year's. I don't think they're running TV at all. And they are taping their SmackDown for the 22nd, I think, next week in Green Bay. Next week,
Wow.
SmackDown's in Green Bay, and I think they're taping the show for the 22nd then. I
And they're
think.
getting Roman for that too. Wow. So Roman could be potentially on 2 weeks.
Yes.
Because Roman will be on the 15th. Yeah.
Yes, Roman is coming back next week. And that'll be probably the last time you see Roman in 2023.
Yeah.
Austin Theory, Kevin Owens, I think is next week on SmackDown too, right?
Supposed to be. But again, his broken hand. We'll wait and see what happens.
Okay. And then Grayson Waller versus a random NXT superstar. I don't know when that's going to happen or who the NXT person will be.
I would think it would have been Wesley, but apparently he got hurt. So it's not
Okay.
going to be him. We'll go Carmelo Hayes, I guess.
I don't know.
I have no insight on this. I'm just throwing a random name out
I think it's going to be Baron Corbin.
there. Okay. Yeah, sure. Interesting. I feel
I don't know.
the placement there is weird because it's Grayson Waller, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't think of anybody in NXT because I don't really follow NXT. Sorry. I have bad news for you.
Bad news?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, is Wade Barrett back?
No.
Oh, it's
I
not
think
that bad
Charlotte
news.
Flair got hurt.
Well, I knew that. I just wish they would have shown me what happened.
Yeah, I don't know
They
what
didn't
happened.
show us.
But here's a picture from Wrestle Author on Twitter. And there's Charlotte. That's not good. She's getting help to the
Well, I
back
saw-
after her match with Asuka. Apparently, she hurt her knee.
I
It's no
saw the
good.
video where she was like yelling at Charles Robinson, "My knee, my knee."
Oh, I didn't see that. But that
Yeah, I
happened
saw the
during a
video of
commercial
it.
break, right?
That happened after the match was over.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't see any of that. They didn't show that, obviously.
Well, no. There's like a fan thing, and okay. So a lot of people, I think, believe that it's the moonsault that happened right before commercial break.
Where she totally
But I
missed
don't-
Asuka, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think it was that because when we came back, they're just down in the ring, and commentating's like, "Oh, something happened here," and they never show us a replay, which they could easily do, but I
Yeah.
think it was a botch, so they didn't want to show it.
Mm-hmm.
But it would have helped explain what the heck happened there because they were both clearly not in the right frame of mind and just barely got through that finish. You clearly tell that I think Charlotte was talking to the ref, and then you saw the ref go talk to Asuka, and then Bayley, boom, almost immediately shows up
Mm-hmm.
because they probably told her just get out there, and they went right to the finish. Like that
Yeah.
match just ended so abruptly. Disappointing, but it just goes to show you like it could happen out of nowhere. Injuries like this.
Yep. So hopefully it's not a serious injury, but, if it is a serious knee injury, that could mean no Charlotte for WrestleMania. At this time of year, if you're out for 6 months, you're missing Mania. So I
Well,
hope
we don't
it's
know for
not
sure
that.
yet.
We don't know how serious it is. Maybe it's, nothing too bad, but sucks to see Charlotte get hurt.
I like to know what happened exactly. Like, apparently, was it a top rope move? Because it sounded like they were saying like Asuka like fell, and it looked like the way they were positioned, it looked like she fell on Charlotte.
Mm.
Again, kind of taking guesses here because we're just go back to action and they're just lying in the ring. I'm like, this is weird. And you would have thought they would have shown us what has happened, but clearly it wasn't part of the script.
Yeah, they said something about it, but they didn't show what had happened. They're like, "Oh, we had a thing during the break. Somebody got hurt here. Both women down." And it's like, okay, well, what happened? And they never showed it. And then, yeah, Charlotte apparently is hurt and had to be helped to the back, and her knee is hurt in some kind of way. So hoping that it's not too serious there for the Queen. Bayley was out there. Damage Control told her not to go out, but she was out there, and she caused a distraction win for Asuka. That whole Damage Control thing is weird. Like, they got Io and Kyrie and Dakota and Asuka all there, and they're kind of excluding Bayley from the group, but still keeping her a part of the group. And then Bayley's off doing her own thing, helping Asuka win, and Damage Control's nowhere to be seen. Like, where's the rest of them? How come they weren't there?
Well, they got beat up by the whole Bianca gang, didn't they?
Oh, did I miss something?
You
I
missed
walked
something,
away. I don't know.
I guess. I understand, like you need to, go to the bathroom or something, like it happens.
Take it
easy. But what happened was when they came out, they came all out with Asuka, and then Bianca came out with, I'm drawing a blank on who she came out with, but she had somebody with her. And then Mia Yim came out, Zelina came out, and they all like ganged up on Damage Control and sent them to the back. So that's why they didn't come out, because they already got beat up.
Okay. I missed that. Trying to think
You didn't
where
miss
I
much.
was. I'm good. Angelo says, when does Punk Roman happen? If it does happen, I would say the next time they go to Saudi Arabia.
Really? Wow.
I just think that would be perfect. That would just be poetic justice. CM Punk does get the big match with Roman Reigns, and he's got to go to Saudi Arabia to do it. Have fun.
I think Randy's going to get the big match with Roman in Saudi Arabia, but maybe they'll do it at the Rumble.
I think Randy Roman at the Rumble is what's going to happen.
Well, when's the next Saudi Arabia? Is it happening in February, or is it just going to be Elimination Chamber?
Elimination Chamber in like Australia or something, right?
So Saudi Arabia will probably be March then, right?
If they do it at all.
I mean, they're going to do it.
Before Mania, though? I don't think they're going to do like one of those big ones right before Mania.
I mean, it would make sense.
I don't know.
What else do they have in March?
But they don't sell tickets for those shows, so they just kind of spring them on the calendar. Like, it's hard to predict, scheduled? Right? Yeah.
Is there anything scheduled for March? Is the question, yeah.
They've got Royal Rumble January 27th in Tampa at the Trop, where the Tampa Rays play. Perth, Australia, February 24th for Elimination Chamber. And then WrestleMania 40, April 6th and 7th in Philadelphia. So they don't have anything scheduled for March at all. So you're thinking maybe they do a Saudi show then? Maybe.
They could do it in March, but they've also done it in like June, May as well. Regardless of backlash is still happening.
I think they do it after Mania. I don't think they do it before Mania, because February 27th, whatever, they're gonna want to do a big show in Australia, and then they're gonna want to build. They have a month to build Mania. You don't want to do a show in like 2 weeks before Mania to interrupt the build. Yeah, I don't know.
They're gonna do. It's gonna happen no matter what, because you're gonna have to throw that in there, and you're gonna have backlash. You're gonna have Money in the Bank.
That's after.
Eventually. Yeah, it's after, but still, you're going to have to throw in that Saudi Arabia show somewhere where you're not going to get a lot of build for something.
Yeah, that always happens, but you don't do that for Mania. You know?
Not this year. Not this year, anyways. They've done it. I remember Elimination Chamber was in Saudi Arabia once.
Right, but that was still in February.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying. You don't do a show in March. You give March room to breathe and build your WrestleMania show at the beginning of April. If you're the WWE, you have to do that. And they do that pretty consistently. They don't usually do much in March. They give you 3 to 4 weeks to wait from the last show to WrestleMania, from Elimination Chamber to Mania. That's what they did last year, right? They didn't do a show after Chamber. They did Chamber here, and then they did Mania. There was no other big show in between. Was there?
No, I think you're right. I think you're right, but then it felt like there was a bunch like right after another kind of thing. Because then we had the backlash in Puerto Rico, and then did they have Saudi Arabia right after that too? And then we went to London for Money in the Bank.
They did Backlash the following month, and then they did Night of Champions later that month in Saudi Arabia. That's what they did last year. They did WrestleMania April 1st and 2nd, and then May 6th they were in Saudi Arabia, they were in Puerto Rico for Backlash, and then May 27th they were in Saudi Arabia for Night of Champions. So they went pretty hard in April and May.
And then Money in the Bank wasn't too far after that in London.
Money in the Bank was July 1st in London. So, yeah, they had 2 shows in May. They took June off, but then the 1st of July, they were right back at it with a big one in London, Money in the Bank. Yeah. Yeah.
So probably more of the same this year, more than likely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Similar schedule. It works for them. They're doing good business. And we will keep watching. We'll keep watching for you. We will not be here next week, though, because I'm going to a jiu-jitsu show, so no show next week. We'll take a week off, and then we'll be back the following week on the 22nd of December. It'll be like almost Christmas. It'll be our Christmas edition show because we'll be like 3 days away. And then we'll be on through the holidays, right? The 29th, the 5th. We're not taking time off after that. So next week is kind of our 1 week off during the Christmas season, right? Because the rest of the shows, we're just going to keep on rolling through all the holidays, right?
Well, it's good to know. Sometimes you take New Year's off, if I'm not mistaken, but it's good to know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would take maybe the 31st or the 1st, but it's, you know, our shows land on Fridays, and our shows are the 29th and the 5th. So we'll be on.
And yeah, you have at least one watch-along left, right? If I'm not mistaken.
We got a UFC watch-along next Saturday, December 16th, UFC 296. UFC 296 watch-along. And then, of course, December 30th, we're going to be on right after AEW World's End. We got another post-show going for another big wrestling pay-per-view. AEW World's End is like 3 weeks away. They got
That's a great point.
They got 3 weeks left of TV. They did their week of TV here, and now next week they're in Dallas and Texas, Oklahoma the following week, Orlando the week after, and then they got World's End on Long Island on the 30th of December. So we're going to be on right after World's End. We're still busy, John. We're just taking one night off next Friday. It's a rare night off, right? Very rare.
Next week is the MMA week. And then it's all wrestling, pretty much.
Yes, that's right. Next week, Thursday night, we'll be back for Ringside Report MMA here on the Ringside Report Network. And then Friday, a rare night off. And then Saturday, we'll be back for the UFC 296 watch-along. And then Johnny and I will be back talking wrestling on the channel real soon. Real soon. If anything crazy breaks, like we'll jump in for something, right?
And if the CJ comes out interview, you'll be known. It'll be posted somewhere.
Yeah. If that ever happens, we'll definitely do it. And go to our website, ringsidereport.net. Go to ringsidereport.net. There's a lot of good stuff there, a lot of new content that we have exclusively on the website that you can check out over at ringsidereport.net. All our shows are available there. as well. You can go and check us out over on the site, ringsidereport.net. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Join over at join.ringsidereport.net. Become a member. Join.ringsidereport.net, like Leor, like Angelo, members of the team, Harold Schneider. Thank you, Harold. You are the Super Chat leader of the night. Big shout out to Harold. Thank you for supporting the Ringside Report Network. And membership.ringsidereport.net as well. There was something else I needed to tell you, but you know when there's one more thing to say and you just can't think of it. I'm sure as soon as this show is over, John, I'll be like, oh yeah, I wanted to say...
That'll come to you eventually, don't worry. We covered a lot tonight. We did good. I think the people are happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I want to say something, but I'm not. We're going to be cool. I'm going to be cool. We're cool. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back Thursday night, 8 p.m. We are the Realists. We are the Ringside Report Network. We will be back. We'll see you again real soon.
Thanks for sticking with us to the end. We would really appreciate it if you could help us spread the word.
You know the drill. Hit that subscribe button, flip those notification switches.
We are an audience-supported network, so consider becoming a recurring supporter at membership.ringsidereport.net. Check out our website at ringsidereport.net. Hope to see you again